Ike Yancy, you got 5 minutes. Make the case. Why you?
Thanks for being here tonight. I really appreciate everybody coming out. My name is Ike Yancy. I'm running for Milton City Council. Who is Ike Yancy? Well, I grew up on a farm down south of Fort Payne, Alabama, which at one time was Sauk City, USA, but it's all overseas now. More recently, it's known as the home of the Monster Country Group, Alabama. I went to school at the University of Alabama on a General Motors scholarship. After college, it was Vietnam era, so I went into the Navy. I was a Navy officer for 5 years. I was ship's company on an aircraft carrier, the USS Hancock, CVA-19, call sign Rampage. And I was the voice of Rampage Strike a lot of the times. I made 2 deployments to Vietnam. After the Navy, I was in sales and marketing, sales management of high performance chemical additives for about 15 years. Then became a management consultant for a number of years. Then I consulted to startup companies for a while. More recently, I put together with some partners my own startup company. I'm CEO and manager. The project will convert biomass, pine pulpwood, into renewable fuels. Why am I here? Why am I running for this office? My wife asks that question a lot. But the reason I'm running is back in 2018, I happened to see a notice in, I guess it was in the Herald or something, about Highway 9 being widened. So I went to the meeting, took a look, and I figured out that GDOT, Georgia Department of Transportation, was about to create a heck of a mess. And I got the plats and plans and so forth, and not only were they going to create a heck of a mess, they were going to really basically destroy all of the mature landscaping, all the mature trees, and the berms that were along Highway 9 where the subdivisions fronted on. And I live in Regency at Linwood Square. We front on Highway 9. I've been there for 21 years. There's been an HOA for 19 years. I've been the president for 17 years. I had planted a whole lot of that greenery that you see along in front of our subdivision, intentionally. And it was about to disappear. So I cranked that up. Then a little over a year ago, we thought we were okay, but we weren't. GDOT reneged. Somebody had to step in and crank the thing back up again, so I did. There are also other reasons I'm running. Green space is being ignored. There are problems with code enforcement. There are other issues. There's no real representations in some cases. So there are a lot of reasons for change in the city council. And that's what I'm here to do.
Thank you, Ike. Okay. Now we're going to go to some questions. And you've got 2 minutes to answer. And you'll get cards from Karen showing you how much time is left. First question is, Milton has a sewer map. If you are elected to council over the next 4 years, would you extend that sewer map to any area? If yes, why? And if no, why not?
that's a red hot question in Milton. I've looked at some of this, I've studied some of the things about sewer. It doesn't appear that it's possible to extend it in a lot of Milton. I think what we would have to do is take each one of those things case by case and see whether it had any validity or not.
Next question would be, how would you assess Milton's parkland purchases?
I mean, green space purchases?
Green space, yeah.
Okay. Well, they spent about $25 million on green space. Less than half of the dollar value that they spent is actually available for use. There's one green space off of Webb Road, just down from my subdivision, that is overrun with kudzu, and the trees are all dead. So, and I understand that there's some other green space that's in terrible shape too. So, I think one of the first things that we need to do, one of the things I would ask for when I get elected is we're going to do a complete review of green space and what should be in, why it's not open when it should be, and all that sort of thing.
Next question. Milton has a relationship with the city of Alpharetta for 911 services for police and fire. Do you see any other opportunities for Milton to partner with neighboring cities for the benefit of Milton citizens?
As I understand it, at one time we were involved in relationships and partnerships and had regular meetings with neighboring cities. As to specific things we might partner with them, I think that takes some work to know what those are. But I think we do definitely need to start having those meetings and relationships with neighboring cities, because I think it's offered an advantage to all of us.
Okay. Next question. Explain how the Highway 9 problems were uncovered and what has transpired since.
Okay. You're talking about a lady who worked for GDOT, for Georgia Department of Transportation, who turned in, depending on who you talk to, at least 150 forged purchases of right-of-way. So, GDOT turned loose their bulldozers and chainsaws, and starting at down at Walmart, all the way up to the new fire station, police station. They cut down everything up through there, and they didn't own a single square foot of it. That helped bring some attention to that, and I got Jan, to explain how, but I got Jan Jones involved, and that's how the city of Milton ended up taking over the widening of Highway 9. But the problem is, the city of Milton has said that they're going to use the GDOT footprint, but that tells me that it's just going to be more of the same, so we're right back where we started.
Okay. Next question. Milton is composed of 3 council districts. How would you describe the difference in those council districts, and how would you plan to serve those districts differently when you are elected to council?
The district that I live in is by far and away apparently the most populous. It's also the future economic engine of Milton. Highway 9 runs right through the middle of it. It's called the Deerfield Initiative. It's really the Highway 9 corridor. The others are much more spread out. They tend to be the large homes, large houses, which is great. It's a great thing for the people who live in Milton. but the tax base there isn't sufficient to support the city of Milton long term. So that's going to fall on the district that I will represent. And there are a lot of high density developers who are just looking their chops over the chance to build the highest possible density thing that they could do. And guess what? Traffic's going to get even worse than it ever was. So, I mean, I think that's generally where things are as far as the three different districts.
Okay. Next question. Milton has instituted roundabouts in many parts of the community. What would you do with regards to traffic concerns in Milton when you were elected to city council?
Well, roundabouts. I tell you what, I think roundabouts are great. I spent some time in the UK back in the day, and I love those things. And I think they're great now. Apparently only about one of them was very well lit for nighttime traffic, and some of them seem to be kind of poorly designed. You know, it's just it's an interesting. I think it's an asset, but I think that traffic is just going to get worse and worse in Milton, and then we're going to have to look at all kinds of things to help with traffic, not just roundabouts.
Okay. Next question. Milton has had to share property tax concerns. Milton has had its share of property tax concerns since the city's inception, with the constant rise of valuations imposed by Fulton County. How would you determine the city's millage rate and budget expenses with regards to property taxes?
Well, that's a complex question, but as I understand it, the city of Milton has a capped millage rate. They did reduce the millage rate this time around and claim that they were reducing taxes, but in fact, because of the property values in Milton, taxes probably went up for a whole lot of people. It's something that, you know, if you have a cap, that goes back to you've got to get tax revenue from somewhere else, which is going to fall back on the Highway 9 corridor.
This is something that I'm hearing a lot of because I'm from here. The city of Johns Creek is currently touting itself as the safest city in Georgia. How safe do you think Milton is, and what would you do to ensure the safety of Milton residents when you're elected to council?
I mean, I generally think that Milton is a safe place. I don't see anything in the newspapers or on television and so forth about serious safety problems. The police seem to do, for the most part, a very good job. They're stationed out so that if there's a problem in the middle, they can move very quickly to it or whatever. I think we would just keep. I think we pretty much just keep on doing the same thing we're doing, and just pay attention to the numbers and see if there's any changes.
So let me ask you a question that I'm going to assume you have the same problem because all of North Fulton seems to. What is Milton doing for stormwater issues within the city? And is it as bad as most of your neighboring cities, or is it not an event where you are?
You know what? Quite honestly, I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know it's a problem. And an interesting thing about what they want to do on Highway 9, they want to install 8-foot wide sidewalks on both sides of Highway 9. Well, guess what? That's more hard area. That's a whole lot more runoff. That's going to only contribute to that kind of a problem. And that's one of the reasons they need to pay attention to what they're doing.
At least you realize that's a problem. Next question. How visible should council members be once they are elected to office? Do you think the current council is visible enough? Why or why not?
Well, you know, the guy that I'm running against is damn near invisible. He's never set foot out into his area, into his district. Not a single time has he come out and taken a look at the problems that Highway 9 is causing. He's not taking a stand. He doesn't communicate at all. And I don't know what's going on with the others, but I know what's going on with him. It's mostly nothing as far as communications is concerned. And I mean, I was a meet and greet with him the other day. He basically took credit for damn near everything that's happened in Milton since the dawn of time. How anybody is supposed to know that, I don't know, because he never communicates, period. So I think that regardless of who the council person is, they need to start communicating with their constituents, and that's something I'm going to do. I'm going to post up video after every council meeting. I'm going to hold an occasional town hall. And if somebody sends me an email, I'm going to respond to it, unlike my opponent.
Okay, so here's the next question. What is Milton's biggest threat over the next 5 years?
Well, they have to figure out how they're going to support the city of Milton with their tax base. They can't do it as it is now. They can't do it off of big houses and big lots. So they're going to have to develop the Highway 9 corridor. To their credit, they did pass a lot of zoning that will help prevent high-density development. But, I mean, every high-density developer and his brother is going to be out there trying to push the edge on all of that and see what they can get away with. And if we let them get away with it, then we're going to have one hell of a lot more traffic than we have now. We're going to have all kinds of growth problems, and we're going to have a very un-Milton-esque Deerfield initiative area. So I think the biggest problem we have to figure out is how they are going to support themselves for the long term.
So here's the opposite of that question. What is Milton's biggest opportunity over the next 5 years?
Well, their biggest opportunity is to do it right. I mean, they missed out on 2 opportunities, but we're got the big development on one side, the big development on the other, and Milton missed out on those. Do we need to go after great big developments? I don't think so. I think that's the wrong way to do it. But their biggest opportunity is to develop the Highway 9 corridor in a common sense, thoughtful, Milton-esque way, bring in the kind of, opening up bars and restaurants is not going to solve our problem. We've got to get businesses and so forth in there and so forth. We've got to have true tax-generating entities in that area to support the city long term. And that's a great opportunity for them.
Here's another question. Milton has used taxpayer dollars to pay for parkland over the last 8 years. Do you think that was a good investment of taxpayer dollars? If yes, why? If no, why not?
Well, that's similar, what we had said before. They spent $25 million on green space. Less than half of that is available for use. The green space down on Webb Road is a disaster area. And I understand it, as I understand it, it's not the only one that's a disaster area. Some of them have been sitting there unused since the day they bought them for some, what seemed like some kind of odd reasons, but it's not that hard to make green space available for use. You put in some benches and some trails and open them up and give people access to it. That's why I said earlier that one of the first things I'm going to ask for if I'm elected is a complete review of what is going on with green space, because it's a big mess right now.
At the inception, Milton had a poor reputation for supporting businesses, but efforts have been made to change that reputation over the years. Would you or would you not support Milton businesses when you are elected to council? And if you would, how would you support them? If you would not, why not?
Well, you know, if you're going to depend on businesses for your tax future, you might need to have a pretty decent relationship with them. I mean, I wouldn't give away the world to them, but I would certainly foster good back and forth relationships with businesses. Doing what I'm doing with my project, I deal with a lot of economic development people. And I understand there's a possibility of hiring one. Which, you know, that's one way that is one way that you can create good relationships between City of Milton and businesses, but only if you use that economic development person the right way. Keep them focused on the things that are important, and not on bars and restaurants and that sort of thing. Keep them focused on real, live, great businesses that Alpharetta is the technical center of the world. We could attract those kinds of businesses.
Next question is, how would you plan to work with county and state officials on behalf of Milton residents?
That's a very good question. It's one I haven't given much thought to. I do know some county and state officials. I think it's right back to the same thing that I said earlier about businesses. We need good relationships between our governments and other governments around us and with the state. Those people determine a lot of what's going to happen, not just in Milton and around the county and the state and so forth. So I would foster reasonable, good relationships with them.
Just because I was involved back when we were negotiating this a few years ago, would you happen to know what percentage of Milton's budget comes from the LOST, the taxes from the Fulton County that shares to the separate cities? Any idea?
No, I don't.
Okay, that's something good to know. Anyway, let me give you the next question. Milton's city charter currently has 3 council districts with council members elected at large. Should the charter be changed so the council members be elected by district, or should they remain elected at large?
I personally think you would have better representation if they were elected by district.
If there is one thing in the city code of ordinances you would change, what would it be and why?
Well, I don't know if there's something in the code that I would change, but I have a real bone to pick with code enforcement. As I understand it, the policy is to be reactive rather than proactive. And I think that's a very bad policy. But you know, I'm a United States Navy Vietnam veteran. Code enforcement went after a guy not too long ago because he had a flag decal on his mailbox and had, I think it was 4 flags, 2 flags on each side of his driveway. That mailbox is a federal entity, and the flags on each side of his driveway are protected by federal law. So I think somebody needs to get code enforcement back to being proactive, but being proactive on the right kind of thing. I can tell you, I'd welcome them to try to come around and make me take my flag off the front of my house.
Okay. How would you plan to work with the city staff if elected to office?
Well, you know, I think learn to work with the city staff is just like any other steep learning curve that I've ever been in. I've spent my life on steep learning curves. There was the first company I worked for out of the Navy reorganized every year come hell or high water. And the standing joke was, if the boss calls, get his name. And when we did get his name and met with him, what he would say to you is, okay, Ike, you're going to have this new territory, which is, there's no business in it. You're going to have these new products to sell, and we haven't trained him yet. And there's a little bit of business, but it doesn't amount to anything. So we need to get you out here, and we need to have a viable business in about 1.5 years. Okay, that only happened to me about 100 times all the way through my career. So it's going to be a steep learning curve to learn how to deal with city employees, with staff, but I'm ready for it. I've done it more times than you can count.
This goes back to this area you were talking about before, relative to what Milton has planned for the Route 9 Deerfield area. What would you do differently?
Well, what I would do differently to begin with is not let them get away with designing the Highway 9 widening that's going to destroy a world of mature landscaping and a whole bunch more mature trees, in addition to the several hundred that are already cut down illegally. Beyond that, it's just going to take a lot of work.
Okay. Next question is, how much power do you think the city manager has inside of City Hall? Do you think he has the right amount of power, too much power, or not enough?
That's a very interesting question. I've been given a lot of education recently about the city manager, and I've had some personal interaction with him. He's paid twice as much as a typical city manager for a city the size of Milton. He has, as I understand it, he has no written evaluation guidelines. And also, as I understand it, he thinks he's in charge of city council. I don't know how much all of that is true, but I think a lot of it is. And I can tell you one thing, if I'm elected to city council, he's not going to be in charge of me. My constituents are.
Okay. Appen Media is the city's legal organ for the purpose of announcements. Should Appen Media remain the legal organ, or should the city seek other media for this legal requirement?
I don't have an opinion about that. I would have to look into it a lot farther. Most of the time, the legal organ is somebody like Appen Media. That's something that takes some.
It's the only paper. It's probably the only
It's
paper.
the only paper around,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So
Who else is going to do it for you?
But it's not only.
Whether you like them or not.
Yeah, it's not just Milton. They've got Johns Creek, Roswell, Alpharetta, and so on. Okay, next question. In 2023, the city of Milton chose to run its elections without the services of Fulton County. But Milton officials returned this 2025 election to Fulton County oversight and operations. Should future elections be handled by Milton citizens and staff, or should it return to Fulton County?
It ought to be run by Milton. Period. Anything we turn over to Fulton County is going to be a hell of a mess. And, and you have no idea of what's going to come out of it when Fulton County does it. So if we keep control of the elections ourselves, they'll make sense after they're over with, instead of being some kind of a mess down in the city of Atlanta.
Okay, Milton has attempted several development initiatives to curb growth, including conservation easements, transfer of development rights combined with form-based code, the creation of Milton Equestrian Committee to support equestrian businesses, incentivizing large acre lots, and publicizing its sewer map. How would you manage development in Milton when you are elected to city council?
But, honestly, a lot of those things are good things that they're doing. I think, but managing the development of Milton, the issues with managing development are not going to be necessarily be size of lots and that sort of thing. Got to figure out how to keep the Milton-esque appearance and so forth in the Highway 9 corridor, where the tax future's coming from. So it has to be managed with good sense and with refusing to roll over and play dead for high-density developers and so forth.
Okay. Tell us one thing about yourself nobody knows.
Wonder what that would be. Well, that you don't know about me. I've been in the papers and everybody knows it. One thing that you might not know about me is that I'm from Alabama and my wife is from New Jersey, so we have the perfect marriage.
Okay. So, since I don't have any more questions, I'm going to give you 4 minutes, 5 minutes, wrap it up, and explain why Ike Yancy.
Well, look at my background. I was a Navy officer. I don't know any other way to teach somebody how to operate under extreme stress and keep calm and so forth when everything around you is going to hell than to be a strike controller on an aircraft carrier. When I was growing up, I was an Eagle Scout. I don't know a better way in the world to teach a kid all kinds of life skills than to have them go through being an Eagle Scout. Of course, I mean, honestly, there was a camp down in Anniston, Alabama called Camp Zen, which is where I got my life-saving and swimming merit badges, and I damn near drowned doing it, but